Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Let's get started. And our first one comes from Gloomy Isopod 8132. Am I the beehole for poisoning a housemate who ate my food without my permission and ended up in the ER? I, a 19-year-old male, recently moved into a shared place, and there is someone who keeps stealing my food. At first, I thought it was just a mistake, but even my leftovers were being eaten. It was very clear that the person was doing this on purpose. I spoke to my housemates about how I would just prefer to be asked first, but they were nonchalant about it, and none of them admitted to doing it, and I haven't caught anyone in the act, so I just tried to ignore it as it only happened every couple of days or so. A few days ago, I came home from work with a carton of eggs that I found while dumpster diving and some bread. I wanted to give the eggs the water test first before eating them just to make sure they are safe to consume. But I was too tired and went to bed early without eating. The next day I found out that one of my housemates got sick. He ended up having to go to the emergency room. My eggs were not in the fridge where I left them, but I saw the carton and shells in the trash, and my bread was open. I had a hunch that it was him because there was possibility that the eggs had gone bad, but I was also annoyed at the fact that he helped himself to my food without asking. When he came back, I asked him if he had eaten my eggs and bread, but he denied it. I then said okay, but I hope whoever ate them doesn't get as sick as you did because I found the eggs in a dumpster. His face immediately dropped, and he looked visibly uncomfortable. He got angry and went from saying that he may have consumed the food by mistake as he wasn't paying attention and doesn't exactly remember, and accusing me of poisoning him. He said that it's a health hazard to bring such food in communal spaces without warning everyone first, as it's not uncommon for people in shared spaces to eat other people's food by mistake. He hasn't spoken to me since then, and my housemates are siding with him and calling me disgusting for doing that. A part of me feels like I wasn't wrong because they were my eggs that I was fully intending on eating, and I don't think I had to warn people against eating food that didn't belong to them. But I also do feel bad and guilty that he got sick. So Reddit, please tell me if I was in the wrong. Hi OP, you are not the beehole. I don't know where your roommate gets off thinking that people can accidentally eat other people's food. Did you buy the food? No. Did you bring in the food? No. Then it is not your food. It's one of your roommate's food. Do not touch the food that is not your food or you don't have permission to eat. And no, you did not poison him. He ate that food on his own volition and his own choice. So, he deserved his little trip to the hospital. Your roommates sound like buffoons for siding with this idiot. Sounds like you've surrounded yourself with pricks. I do believe you're in the right, but it sounds like you have a bunch of people saying you're in the wrong. I don't know how financially viable it is for you to, get out of there and get different roommates because I know I've lived with people and I haven't eaten their food and they haven't eaten my food. And I like how this idiot is trying to put the blame on you. All he had to do was not eat the food that wasn't his and he'd be fine, so it's his fault. And also, why are you dumpster diving for eggs and bread? Aren't those like not even aren't those are very perishable? I wouldn't even touch those, but you do you, I guess. And our next one comes from C Smith 100,000. Am I the beehole for canceling my own debit to my brother after he let his kids run amok with my art supplies? I currently owe my brother around $300. He fronted me some money for a family vacation, and I said I could pay him back in December, 3 paychecks a month. My husband and I are hosting a small Thanksgiving this year with the family members who live within driving distance, and my brother's family arrived on Monday to stay throughout the weekend. His two kids, 3 and 6, are generally well behaved. But they're still kids, so I let them know to keep it out of the bonus room, currently half finished, and my craft room. You all know where this is going, so I'll just cut to the chase. I came home yesterday to find the kids splayed out on the living room floor, surrounded by art supplies in ruined condition. They were finger painting with my gouache, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, and had completely cross-contaminated the colors, drawn on my good watercolor paper with Copic markers. completely crushing the tips of the markers as well, and ruined or dirtied several items that my friends had bought me from Korea. I confronted my brother, who was nonchalantly watching TV, and he told me that he didn't let the kids go in the craft room. He had just gone in himself and just grabbed them a couple of things to entertain themselves with. He agreed to buy me replacements until I actually started tallying up the costs, then backtracked and said that the price was BS and started insisting that most of the stuff was still in usable condition. I said, fine, you don't have to replace anything, but you can forget about vacation money. He snapped at me, and not to argue in front of the kids. I said, who's arguing? It sounds like a conversation is over. Now, he wants me to pay the vacation money immediately and work out replacing the art supplies after. I feel like he's just going to try and haggle me, or is going to replace my stuff with Crayola and call it even. Hi OP, you were not the beehole, and this is coming from someone who also is into art. My stuff is mostly digital. The little character I'm using for my YouTube channel, I came up with him. I have dabbled in physical art before, and I know it's not cheap. I don't know all the stuff that they destroyed, but I was looking up the markers, the Copic markers. They range from about 60, 80, 100. I've seen a set for 300, but it looks like you get all the colors. So like you said, this stuff isn't cheap, and if you have those markers, I assume there's more expensive things there to replace. Personally, I wouldn't even call it even. I think maybe what they destroyed costs maybe a little bit more than what you owed your brother. But I agree with you, OP. He's trying to trying to jip you, because if you pay him back that money, he's not gonna pay you back for all the stuff his kids destroyed. And I can't even blame the kids. He went and did it himself, which makes it worse. I wasn't even thinking about that. But he's probably going to do exactly what you said. He's probably going to wander off to Walmart, buy a cheap set of markers, and be like, here you go, and a cheap set of brushes, and there you go. I replaced all your stuff. $30. Bye. Give me my 300 for the vacation. So I think you did make the right choice. This probably is the better choice, with calling it even, with you owing him money and his kids destroying. Well, I'm not gonna blame the kids because he gave it to them. Him destroying your art supplies. And our next one comes from Any Subject 5301. Am I the beehole for banning my son's mom from a memorial? My ex-wife, Diana, has 3 boys who are 16, 12, and 10. We divorced pretty much after the youngest was born. We also both remarried. She's married to Christopher and got a divorce last year after several years of marriage. I'm still happily married to my wife, Jessica. Christopher and my boys were pretty close, and they were bummed when the divorce happened. I always got along with the dude. A few months after the divorce, Christopher disclosed that the divorce was over. His being diagnosed over adocremion carmamoni. I'm gonna get it wrong. There's no point in retrying again, but I'm gonna try one more time. Adenocarcinoma, and Diana, not wanting to be his nurse, maid, or responsible for his medical bills, checked out. He told me this was because he wanted to leave whatever he had to my kids. Unfortunately, he had no family of his own. Obviously, I said of course and signed the paperwork. A few months ago, I got a call from a social worker saying that Christopher was only a few months from dying and unable to care for himself. He gave her my number. Basically, they needed someone to help with the end of life. He had made me his power of attorney. He was living in a country hospice, and my wife and I moved him into our home because he deserved to live his final days in dignity. It also taught my kids about compassion. Unfortunately, he died after 2 weeks. He was cremated a few days ago, and me, my wife, my kids, and a few of our friends are planning to spread his ashes at the beach this week. Diana asked if she could attend, and I told her to kick rocks. She wanted nothing to do with him when he was dying. I'm not saying Christopher was a burden, but that's really sad, that this dude had to reach out to his ex-wife's first husband like he did. It was clearly more her responsibility. I said she can't sit there and let us do all the hard work so she could come in at the end as the grieving widow. My older son thinks I should let her come, and I told him to mind his own business and mouth. I'm not going to sugarcoat your mom for you. Your mom is a witch and will be treated the same way she treated your stepdad. Looking down in the comics, I agree with Terry. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry, man. Not the beehole. If she wouldn't stay by his side while he fought cancer, she doesn't get to be at the memorial service you're arranging. She can mourn without doing so in front of the people who actually gave this man a passing, filled with caring and love. I agree. She shouldn't be able to just swoop in at the end after not going through all the hardships with this man, on his dying bed, and play the part of the grieving widow so she can get all the attention of everyone, acting like she was a good person and was always there for him. So, AP, I agree with you. Now, looking down in the comments, I'm seeing people saying that you were a beehole to your kid. Um, I think I'm going to disagree with everyone in the comments on this. He didn't, call her a bad word. She's a witch. I would call her more than that. I think you restrained yourself. He needs to learn that his mother is not a good person. She was able to disregard and toss away someone she was supposed to be there to care and to love. Uh, I think your kids should know now that their mom is not a good person. And our next one comes from Weak Sherbert 42-6. Am I the beehole for telling my son he will pay back for the cheese/meat or he won't eat Thanksgiving tomorrow? I'll keep this one short. Every year, we have a charcuterie board before Thanksgiving meal at 6. Just something so everyone can pick at, so they aren't dying of hunger by dinner. My son, 16, loves cheese. And due to this, I make sure to label when he can't eat something. I labeled all the stuff for Thanksgiving, don't eat. Well, yesterday he went and ate all the fancy meals and basically ate from each block that I bought. I truly was pissed since I worked extra hours to pay for it since the prices are awful now for a nice cheese. I told him he needs to go to the store and replace all of which would cost him around $70. One of the cheeses he ate was $18, or he doesn't get to eat a Thanksgiving meal. He is refusing to pay it back, so no Thanksgiving meal. He will eat a sandwich, and he thinks I'm being a horrible jerk. My husband's on his side and doesn't understand why I'm so pissed about it. Edit. Thank you. I've made up my mind. I already informed my mother-in-law of the situation. She offered to bring a nice cheese board if he still refuses. I'm giving him one last chance. He can buy it, or no Thanksgiving tomorrow, or work for 11 hours to make up for the money. I like the idea from the Redditor. I have a feeling he won't do either of the options given, so probably no Thanksgiving and my relatives will understand. Hi OP, you are not the beehole. You are a parent who is parenting. At 16, he's old enough to understand, do not eat the thing I'm telling you not to eat because it's for Thanksgiving the next day. And you're not wrong. I was at the store trying to buy cheese for the mac and cheese I want on Thanksgiving. And I balked at the prices. It's not $18, mine's about 12, but still that's a lot for some cheese. But from reading the story, it looks like you've already, handled things, and you gave him a ton of options out, work for 11 hours, or go spend the money and buy it. I think that's fair. Personally, I would just take the 11 hours and eat my Thanksgiving. And our last one comes from Leading Fly 4395. Am I the beehole for telling my sister she can't wear a red dress to my wedding or else she's uninvited? My wedding is coming up, and since I've gotten proposed to, me and my husband have been adamant about pastel colors being worn by the guest. My stepsister is saying that she's bought an expensive dark red dress to wear to the wedding recently. I'm not a hard to deal with person, but I feel like she shouldn't have bought the dress, knowing that I wanted people in pastel colors. She also isn't a hard to deal with person, usually. So, I don't know why she's acting like that. Now, last night I texted her saying she won't be able to come to the wedding if she's planning on wearing that dress, and she asked if I will be reimbursing her dress for her. And I told her no. She's now telling the family that I'm being a bridezilla and acting unreasonable. Hi OP. You are definitely the beehole and kind of bridezillaing a little bit here. I agree with your sister. Now, if she was your bridesmaid and you're like, oh, all my bridesmaids have to wear pastel dresses that you are fitting the bill for because it sounds like a hideous dress to buy and not something you're going to wear every day, then I would understand and say she would be the beehole. But she's just a guest. Who cares? As long as the guest isn't wearing white, they should be fine. And they look, reasonable. They're not coming in with holes in their shirts and stuff like that. So formal, dress nicely for a wedding. People know how to dress for a wedding. So yeah, OP, calm down. Your sister's just a guest. Let her wear what she wants to wear. She's not your bridesmaid. Yeah, you're bridezillaing. You need to calm down and just get over this. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Can you please do what I said in the beginning and like, comment, and subscribe? It will really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Velvet out.